This isn't a bullshit 10-minute video about fancy tricks you'll never use. This is the ultimate dribbling guide for footballers who are serious about going pro. Whether you're just starting out or you're looking to elevate your career, if you stay true to yourself and work hard, this will help you become the best dribbler on your team and get you noticed by scouts. Chapter 1. A building with poor foundations collapses. If you want to build high, your structure must be deeply rooted. You need to master the basics to begin with. You can't start out by learning double elasticos and other ridiculous freestyle moves. If you approach dribbling from the top up and you learn these fancy skill moves before you acquire the basics, you are destined to fail. There will be fundamental errors in the way you perform in game, and there will be gaps in your overall technique. Going back to the same analogy as before, it's a lot harder to fix fundamental issues in your game when they're deeply rooted in your muscle memory. So we must begin with the basics. The absolute basics are building a relationship with the ball and getting used to dribbling with both feet. So the question begs, how do we do this? Well, we start by simply playing football more. The reality is, for everyone watching this video, is in today's day and age, we're scrolling a lot on our phone, we're playing video games. So imagine if you skipped that 1 hour of video games after school, or that hour of scrolling, you would get a whole hour every single day to practice football more. And you may think this isn't really a lot, and while it's not a lot on its own, this adds up. That's 7 hours a week and 365 hours a year. So if you just imagine if you put that extra hour in every single day, how much better you'd be by the end of the year. It's a whole 365 sessions that you could do. So if you imagine your career now, it would just elevate it so fast. Playing football more doesn't mean just training with your team. It means doing things like 2-touch with your friends, 5-a-side, and your own individual sessions. This will help you improve your dribbling. For the specifics of what you need to do to build your foundation, it's simple, not easy. First, we need to learn how to move the ball in all 4 planes of movement: straight, right, backwards, and left. For each chapter, I'm going to be giving you an individual session that you can do to improve your technique, and I want you to do this session at least twice a week. For this session, what you need is a place to train. Obviously, grass is preferable, but if it's concrete, this will be fine. And then as well as that, you need some sort of obstacle. Obviously, using cones is the best choice, but when I didn't have cones, I used things like a water bottle or my bag. And this is literally just something that you can dribble in and out of. Exercise 1, the inside foot U-shape. This is one of the best beginner exercises, and it works on all 4 planes of movement. This one will feel very uncomfortable on your weak foot, but there's a reason for it. And the reason why it feels so good on your dominant foot is because of muscle memory. You've used your dominant foot over and over again, and this has pretty much allowed your muscle memory to kick in, and it's just something that you don't have on your weak foot. So on your dominant foot, you can control the speed of it, you can dictate how fast you move it, and it feels comfortable doing so. Whereas when you use your weak foot and you're doing this, it almost feels like your weak foot's not there, and it's kind of just like you can't even control your hamstrings or your quads on where you want to move the ball. But in no time at all, this is going to improve. And if you imagine how bad your weak foot is now, don't get down about that. Think of it in a positive way of imagine how good I'm going to be when I get my weak foot right. So do this exercise for 2 minutes until you feel more comfortable on your weak foot especially. By the way, I want you to either screen record these videos so you can copy them into your own session so you actually remember, or if you want the full in-depth guide, then click the link in my bio because that's my technical masterclass. I basically explain everything in a whole lot more depth, which kind of just guarantees that you're going to get the exercise exactly right and obviously improve a whole lot faster. So click the link in my bio to get that. Exercise 2 is a Messi dribble, and it's called a Messi dribble for a reason, because it replicates in game switching a ball from one foot to the other. And the reason why this works so well is because in game, this is exactly how you do it. You run up to a defender, you shift it from the left foot to the right foot, for example, and then obviously you glide in between 2 players. So it works on that, and as well as that, it just gets your weak foot used to moving the ball, used to moving that plane of direction of straight across. So it's an absolutely amazing drill, and I've genuinely practiced this for years upon years. It's also essential for your development into beating players 1v1, because like I said before, that's how you shift the ball from side to side. Not only is that how you beat them, but the actual mechanics of that is that you push them this side and it looks like you're going that way, and then when you shift it across, it puts them off balance, so they have to rotate their hips. During lockdown, I used to go to the pitch all the time and practice these drills over and over and over again. And obviously my friends came with me sometimes when they wanted to train. Obviously I'd always be open to them coming. And I actually had this friend who was a really good player, but no matter what he did, when we did the Messi dribble, he literally couldn't take an inside touch with his weak foot, and he'd just constantly do a ball roll whenever he wanted to shift it from his left foot to his right foot. And this is the result of not getting the fundamentals right. And overall, this makes it just so much harder to undo that muscle memory of a ball roll rather than an inside touch. So this is exactly why you need to get the fundamentals right, because otherwise you're going to end up with like things that are wrong in your game, such as that, where if you want to take an inside touch, you just do a ball roll, and that, see, it's fine for some scenarios, you know, doing a ball roll is fine, but in other scenarios you need to take an inside touch because it's slightly quicker than doing a roll over the ball. So that is a fundamental error that you just cannot get wrong. So if you're struggling with something like this, obviously don't worry, but it's going to make it a lot harder for you to undo that muscle memory. And if you're not struggling with something like this, then congratulations, you haven't got anything messed up just yet within your fundamentals, which means basically get it locked down, don't be messing up, and just make sure the technique is absolutely perfect for this one. Do this drill 5 times there and 5 times back. And lastly, for chapter 1 and this session, you're going to be doing some free flow dribbling. And you may ask what this is, and it's literally just removing all the cones and just dribbling around freely. But with this, I want you to specifically work on using the top outside part of your toe, because this is the best place to make contact with the ball when you're dribbling. Because 1, it means you can move the ball quicker, you can shift its direction from left to right a lot quicker, and 2, it means you're lighter on your toes, so if the defender's coming in and he's going to come tackle you, you can just move your foot or jump out the way a lot quicker. By the way, with the unrestricted dribbling, make sure you're practicing on your weak foot, even if it feels uncomfortable. Like I said before, we must get the fundamentals in place, and you need to work on that weak foot for us to do so. Also, your action step for this chapter is to either screen record the exercise I showed you and make a note of it in your notes page or on some paper, or if you like, go and get the technical masterclass and you just get all of these secrets just laid out for you on a plate. Chapter 2. Now that you have a solid base and you do not have any fundamental errors in your dribbling or technique overall, we can now move on to gluing the ball more to our feet using all different planes of movement. I said before we need to get used to using the 4 planes of movement like this, but what if I told you we can literally move in any direction and there's an unlimited amount of planes, which means it's not just like this, but it's more here, 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 and you can move in any single direction. This is completely essential so we can shift the ball in the exact position that a defender won't be able to reach. By gluing the ball to our feet, we're going to become a lot better at dribbling, because when a defender dives in, because the ball is now closer to your foot, you'll be able to shift it before they can reach, and this is basically going to increase your win percentage in your 1v1s by a whole lot. And obviously, if you're dribbling with the ball really close to your feet, you look like you've got it on lock. The players who just smash it, or they're taking these heavy touches and trying to recorrect where the ball's going to go next, that doesn't look good. It's not pleasing on the eye. And if you want to get scouted, you have to be an aesthetically pleasing player. So gluing the ball to your feet is going to help scouts notice you and just be attracted to how you're dribbling. So the way that we do this is with more complex movements. So for exercise 1, we're doing turnouts with the outside of our foot. This is another perfect exercise because no longer are we moving here to here, but we're now going at this angle to there. This exercise specifically is perfect for game realism because we can take it exactly into our game to begin a dribble. For example, a defender's pressing you, you roll the ball back and then you push out and then you go on your dribble. Do this exercise for 2 minutes. For exercise 2, we're going to be doing the 1 in, 1 out cone drill. And for those of you who are new to the channel, this is literally my favorite exercise and I credit a lot of my success to this exercise. Just to prove that this exact exercise has helped me get my success, I've literally been able to do it, and I'll have a video on screen now. So I've practiced it in the training, and then I've taken the exact same skill into games, and it just allows me to glide past any defender. This drill not only helps your touches be super clean and just allows you to have that precision of where you're moving the ball, but you also work on muscle building with this, because when you shift the ball side to side, you tear the muscle fibers, and it's a lot of effort for them. And then what that does is the muscles grow back bigger and stronger, which then you're allowed to replicate into game. And even if the defender reads what you're doing, you're going to have more muscle on the side of your leg and just overall down your leg. Then you're going to be able to explode away at a faster speed. So even if the defender reads it, you're going to be exploding away from them. They won't be able to do anything about it. And this drill, again, is one of the reasons why my legs are so defined. It would be a discredit to this drill if I left out one of the most important benefits of it, and that is a decrease in your reaction time. And what I mean by this is when you shift the ball, you have pushed it in between the cone at the wrong angle, which means if it continues traveling in this plane of movement, it's not going to go through the second cone, which that means that your other leg has to shift. You have to jump all the way across and move it across really quickly to basically get it to move back in the right direction. And if you don't, then the ball's just going to go out of play. And the reason why this helps your reaction time is because over time, as you do it, you're going to get faster and faster, and not only just in your precision will improve, but you will be faster in moving the ball across to the other foot, because you literally have to, otherwise the ball's going to go out of play. So you're going to build muscle, you're going to build precision, and you're going to build speed with this movement. If you put all of this into a game, it is literally one of the most overpowered dribbles, because you can just shift easily, and you're basically an athletic beast as well because of how fast you can do it. Your action step for this chapter is, again, to screen record all the videos and just make a note of how you're going to do the exercise. Chapter 3. You can now control the ball extremely close to you with speed and precision. Now we must work on the 1v1 aspect. We do this by signing our signature over a skill move. The truth is, for this chapter, is you have a lot of freedom. You can literally pick any skill move, but I'm going to be giving you a few options, and you're going to pick 3 of those options, and you're going to master that skill move. Also, if you want me to make an in-depth tutorial on any of these skill moves, then just leave a comment below, and if there's enough comments, then I'll get around to it. The reason why we practice 3 skill moves rather than learning loads of different ones is because of a quote that Bruce Lee said, which is, "I fear not the man who has practiced 10,000 kicks once, rather I fear the man who has practiced one kick 10,000 times." And basically what he means by this is, the person who's practiced one move 10,000 times has mastered that skill and is basically a whole lot more deadly with that move. And this translates directly into football, because if you practice loads of skill moves, you might be able to pull them out every now and again, but you're not going to have much control over doing them. It's all just going to be kind of a bit funny, and you won't get that consistency that we need to just rinse a defender every time. And if you don't believe me, think of Messi, for example, who literally, what skill moves does he do? He does a body feint, and he's got the deceleration or acceleration, and that's pretty much it, right? And Iron Robin, who literally did a cut-in every single time, and the defender knew he was going to do a cut-in, but because he had so much power behind it and so much disguise, he could get away with it literally every time, and he was never ever stopped doing this. This is the list you must choose from: the body feint, the step over, the ball roll, the elastico or its reverse elastico, and finally, pace abusing. Now, if you want a little explanation of how you can do these skill moves, then they'll be linked in the description. But if you want the full in-depth guide where I can literally take you through it all, then that will be linked to my technical masterclass. The reason why I can't do this on Instagram videos or just short videos is because I only get 60 seconds within that time frame, and it's just difficult to explain a complex skill move in just a short amount of time. So if you want the full in-depth guide, then go get the technical masterclass. It'll be the first link in the description. Once you've chosen your 3 skill moves, I want you to practice doing it against a cone. So place a cone in front of you, then run up to the cone, obviously, do the skill move, whatever it may be, and then make sure you exit out. If you don't exit out after, then the skill move is completely pointless, right? Because you throw the defender off balance with either a body feint or a step over, he changes his hips, then you push away. So make sure you push away. Then once you get comfortable doing that, then do it more unrestricted and just do it in random areas of the pitch. And you have to truly visualize yourself doing it in a game. Then we're almost ready to take it into a game once you've practiced that. But first, this is one thing I need to cover, and it's practicing 1v1s with your friends. This is absolutely essential, right? So you practice it unrestricted and you practice it against a cone. This is all good and it's going to help you improve, but there's no external force there. And what we really need to master for us to master it in game is doing 1v1s, because what this does is you have to react to an external force of the defenders. And what this does is it means you have to react to an external force of the defender either shoving his... And what this does is it means you have to react to an external force. Whether it's the defender diving in or the defender jockeying, your eyes can see all of these things happening, which they can't see when it's a cone because the cone doesn't move. And that makes it a little bit harder, but then once you master that, then you're going to be absolutely chilling and you can take it straight into a game. Your action step for chapter 3 is to obviously pick those 3 skill moves and then either write it in your notes page or write it down on a piece of paper. Chapter 4, the basic mechanics of beating defenders. You're at the point now where you're very good at dribbling, you can keep it close to your feet, and your changes of directions are good, you have your own skill moves that you've perfected, but now we need to understand the basic mechanics of running at a defender and how the defender works when he's defending you, so then we can obviously exploit that and get around him every time. You'll be in a few scenarios when you're dribbling. This is exactly how to beat a defender in every single one of them. Scenario 1. If he steps and he comes to tackle you by diving in, then knock the ball past him and run. The reason why this works is because if he steps, he has to do a full U-turn and by that time you'll be completely gone. If he jockeys, then fake to go one way and then go out the other. I have a few clips of me doing this on screen, but pretty much whether you're using a step over, a reverse elastico, or just a body feint, this works because when you make that step out and you fake to go one way, then that rotates his hips into that position, and then when you go out the other, he has to do a full rotate of his hips. So it's almost like the U-turn when you've knocked it around him, but it's obviously at a lesser extent because his hips aren't fully rotated by 360 degrees. So they're rotated at an angle, and then once you explode away, he has to make way more effort to turn. And by that point, you'll already be gone past him. And the last scenario is if you're neck and neck with the defender. Now, I've spoken about this a lot on my Instagram, and I know you guys have seen the videos on the hazard step, but this is an absolutely essential one. So if you're running with the defender, and if you're running, with the ball, and the defender's next to you here, you throw out your opposite leg, and what this will do is basically trip him up. And it's not a foul before people start coming in, it's a foul because you're the one with the ball, so you're just shielding the ball. Well, that's how the refs see it anyway. I've done it loads and loads of times. I've never ever been called up on a foul on it. And if you don't want to throw your leg out and cut them off, then what you can do is you just dribble across them. So if you're both dribbling here, you just start dribbling there. And once you've ran across them, they literally can't do anything. You've taken them completely out of the game. Now, this sounds very basic, and the truth is, it is basic, but it's all about timing. And timing can only be mastered with in-depth repetition. So you're not going to suddenly know these tricks and just basically be able to take them directly into your game. You're going to need to practice 1v1s over and over again. Because, for example, if you do the step over and you do it too early, then the defender won't fall for the bait. So it's all about that timing, and I expect you to practice 1v1s with your defenders every single week over and over again, and that will get you to the point where you basically master these skills. On top of that, another thing that is very, very important for you guys to actually master these skills, and on top of that, another thing that's very, very important is speed. If you do these actions slowly, defenders aren't going to take the bait. They're not going to react to your little step over movement and go the other way. So speed is very, very key into basically making the defender fall for the feint, and then you go out the other way. So the way that you practice the speed is just over and over again. You build the technique, you build the foundations for the move, then you can increase the speed, and once you increase the speed, you're going to get a whole lot more results. And like last time, your action step for this chapter is to basically make loads of notes on how I've told you how you're going to beat defenders, or just screen record the video. Chapter 5, we're almost there. You have everything on lock, ranging from your personal touches to being able to beat defenders. But there's one thing missing that will prevent you from becoming an elite dribbler, and that is being strong, holding your own against these players. If you're anything like me, you are probably that skinny kid who, they can dribble a little bit, but you just get pushed off the ball every time. And I know exactly how it feels, and I fucking hated it. I literally hated it. Even when I was ranging from when I was younger to even being 14, 15 before I put on a bit of muscle, I literally just got pushed off the ball every week. Didn't matter if it was a foul, didn't even give it as a foul because I was just so skinny. So if you're anything like me, I'm going to solve this issue for you very, very fast. The first is the obvious one, and that is adding a little bit of muscle. I've done this over the years. I've added a little bit of muscle to my game, and that's just going to help you shield off these players. I'm not talking get massive like Adama Traore, but just by adding a little bit of muscle, you basically make yourself a more resistant force to people coming into you like that. The second thing is something you can implement into your game literally the next time you play football, and that is understanding center of gravity. Now, I'll have a diagram explaining it, but pretty much if you stand really tall, then you are easier to push off the ball. We all know this. Whereas if you get low to the ground, then you're a lot harder to push off the ball. As well as this, some things you can do to improve your center of gravity is improving your core muscles, improving your hip muscles, your glutes, and your lower back. So if you put these things together, you put adding a little bit of muscle mass everywhere else, then you also work on these 4 things around the hips that I said, and you get low to the ground when someone's coming in to body you, you're not going to get bodied, basically. Your action step for this chapter is to make sure that you write into your notes page that you need to lift a bit of weight. Whether it's doing upper body, lower body, whatever it is, it's going to help you stop getting bodied. And as well as this, I need you to write into your notes page that you're going to do a plank 3 times a week. I want you to start off by just doing a 1-minute plank. It should be pretty easy for most of you. And then every time you achieve it, so say you do 3 in a week of 1 minute, then the next week, then you're going to do 2. Then after that, you're going to do 3, 4, 5, and see where you can get up to. You now have everything mastered, except for the most important thing. and that is entering the flow state. Without it, you're going to be a shadow of the player that you could become. You won't be able to replicate what you do in training and individual sessions on the main pitch. And the reason why we need to enter the flow state when we play is because everything we do will be fluid and quicker. The reason why this is because when you logically go to analyze a situation and go to make a decision whether you're going to go left or right when running at a defender, this takes a lot of time. This is like 4 to 5 seconds of time, and we can't rely on these logical decisions when playing football because the game moves so quickly. So we need our subconscious brain to come in and make these decisions, and this is a whole lot faster. To explain the flow state simply, when you enter it, you're going to feel like you're dribbling on 10 times speed, and overall everything just seems to go well for you. First, you have to practice the movements over and over again. Repetition will build muscle memory, which will mean it will become natural to you to do these movements when you're dribbling. This is basically going to allow your logical brain to turn off, and you can use the subconscious to do these moves without even thinking. Second, you need a pre-game ritual, and this can be literally anything you want it to be. It ranges differently from every pro footballer to every pro footballer, but for example, 1:30 eat food, 1:45 stretch, 2 p.m. music. That's just an example for you. This is basically going to help you get into that state where you're just calming down and your emotions are all very, very fluid, so then you're not entering the game overthinking stuff in the back of your head, and then overall you're just going to be a lot more calm when you go into the game, which will allow your brain to switch off easier. Another big one is not being on your phone all the way up until kickoff. Now, I'm not saying don't ever scroll on your phone, because I understand how addictive it is and how fun it is, but we live in a modern day world where when you're scrolling, you're getting thrown thousands of millions of pixels at you, and you're consuming absolutely terrible content most of the time, especially on the short form stuff. Now, obviously, I'm not hating on it at all, because I know how jokes it can be when you're like just scrolling through reels. Completely understand that. But you are absolutely frying your dopamine system. And basically, your dopamine receptors are going to become so fried to the point where every single time you're doing something that's not on your phone, your brain is searching for the little hits of dopamine. And that's why people are getting ADHD over and over again, more and more nowadays. And as well as that, in-game, right, if you are this person in-game, you're not going to get the ball for like 5-10 seconds, 1 minute. Let's say you're an attacker, right, and you know the right winger's got the ball and you're standing on the left wing. He's got the ball and you're having to concentrate, look where he's going, and then maybe you're going to make a run into the box. You're not going to be able to concentrate. You're just going to be like just dazing around, and your brain's going to you're just going to be like absolutely clueless, completely daydreaming. So I cannot recommend it enough to pretty much like an hour to 2 to 3 hours before a game, do not be on your phone. Because if you're on your phone, you're just getting that dopamine and you're training your brain to just get hit after hit after hit. And football isn't a pure instant dopamine sport. You got to work extremely hard for the dopamine to start kicking in when you're doing that hard running, when you made that really good tackle, when you beat the defender for pace, whatever it is. This is earned dopamine rather than instant scroll. So you need to train your brain in the right way. So 3 hours before, do not go on your phone. Your action step for chapter 5 is to write a pre-game ritual that you're going to do every single game, and also do not go on your phone for 2 to 3 hours before the game. Taking your technical ability from someone who can barely control a ball to being that player who goes into 1v1s with 100% certainty is genuinely an amazing journey, and I hope you feel inspired and motivated while watching this. Because when you make progress with your dribbling, it puts the football dream into perspective and almost reality, because you truly know that you'll make it. People around you will start noticing and just complimenting you overall on how much you've improved, and even some of your teammates might actually envy you because of how fast you've just become better than all of them. If you are interested, my technical masterclass is an amazing place. It's the program that I use all through the second lockdown and beyond that. I mean, it literally took me from rotting away on the bench at Sunday League to making my debut for a professional club a few months ago. It's the top link in the description. If you are a young baller who wants to have that success, you want to have that improvement at a ridiculous rate, and just overall be that guy that just proves everyone who said you couldn't make it wrong, all of these things that would just be perfect for your growth, getting you to that professional debut a whole lot faster than your competition. So just click on that fucking link, go get the technical masterclass, because I have the utmost conviction that your career will fucking skyrocket after you get the masterclass. Just go and check out the reviews and just make sure you go grab it. If your parents are funny about buying online products, I completely understand that, because mine were too at one point. But just let them know that I do guaranteed money back if you don't see massive improvements in your game within the 90 days, because I'm so confident in my product and I know that it will help you get to the top. I'll see you in the next one.